So any tips regarding how to keep moving forward, believing in what you want to do, even if your past doesn't have any proof that you can do it?
Right. Well, I love this topic, and thank you for the beautiful segue. So yes, absolutely. This is one of the biggest, and I don't even like this word because we use this word hack too much anymore. But I would say if there is a shortcut, which there really isn't any, but it's this. And this is for you listening. If you're hearing this, this is what I want you to do. If you're going from A to B, I want you to cross out A and just be freaking B right now. How would that person think, act, respond, eat, get up, respond to negative situations, feel their emotions? Who would they be? Because we can show by science, even by quantum mechanics and so forth, is that we are the frequency that we feel frequently. And if you can lean into the space, because the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what's going on in your head. And if you can start to visualize, and this is what athletes do. Let's go back to the athlete. You can show that you can visualize doing an arm curl, a bicep curl with weights, and your muscle will get anywhere from 8 to 15% bigger. So if you can visualize this before you're practicing and you're releasing neurochemistry from your head, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, epinephrine, and it is priming your cells to go, I am already this person, and it's raising the belief in your biology to be that person.
Hello, amigos. It's Celeste Leon, and welcome back to the Light to Success podcast, a place where we can discuss how to strengthen our mindset, increase our confidence, and maintain a high level of motivation to reach the next level of success in our lives. So, let's get started. Welcome back, friends, to the Light to Success podcast. I have an incredible guest today, and I can't wait for all of you to get to know him. His name is Neal Phalora. He's a motivational speaker, 4-time entrepreneur, and Neuro-Spiritual Coach. He is the voice behind Your Greatest Hits podcast, featured in books about cultivating mindset, public speaking, and building a brand. Neal has been an expert guest on multiple TV spots. He has shared the stage with names like David Meltzer, MMA championship fighter Michael Chandler, Lundy, Siegel, and Tim Storey. Through decades of coaching others, Neal transformed his life by creating a new relationship with his body and brain. His diverse strengths help his clients become fulfilled and scale financially through his WELLTH method, which we'll get into it soon. He has created a unique roadmap for sustainability to accomplish goals outside the hustle. And his core philosophy of business is that people don't buy products and services. People buy you, your story, your energy, and your magic. Such a pleasure to have you on the podcast, Neal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing a little bit of research. What a wonderful introduction.
Absolutely. And for all of you listening today, a little bit background on how I met Neal. I recently attended Impact Effect 2023, a wonderful motivating conference here in Nashville. And Neal was on stage. He was the MC. He really helped organize this event, and he did such a wonderful job. So just want to acknowledge you there first, because you really made the event next level.
It was so much fun. I mean, I know you do MC as well, and it's just like, it feels so good when you just feel at home right on the stage. It's like where you belong, and you're there to create an experience for other people. You're focused outward. So it was fun.
Awesome. Absolutely. And Neal, I would like to start by you just sharing your story. I know you've had different experiences throughout your life that has led you to become the incredible coach you are today. But I don't think you began from this perhaps out of college, right? Or when you were 18, done with high school. So how did your journey develop to get to where you are today and help the people that you do?
Yeah, isn't that always so interesting? We always think that life is a straight line, but it never is, right? It's like, how does somebody get somewhere? but I came from a household that was an immigrant family. And so there was a lot of tension between culture and mindset. And my dad was a really different thinker as well. So I grew up in a Midwestern town where there were a lot of other auto manufacturing people, where my dad was highly degreed. And I always just had really a deep empathic nature. I had a way about me that I just was so much awe and wonderment in life. And for me, it was always a kind of matter of like what life is really about. Sorry, I had to cough there. So I was just deeply philosophical, deeply in wonderment all the time. And I found myself kind of always odd man out, right? Like I just saw things differently. I thought about things differently. And when I was in high school and college, I always found myself people coming to me for advice. It's like people routinely in my life say, I just don't have deep conversations like this. And I found myself having conversations like this over and over. But to be succinct, I was kind of a typical Asian kid, in the sciences, headed to medical school. And I got in early. And then I just discovered this is not necessarily what I want to do. But in the process of being in medicine, I had this massive awakening to God, to spirit, because it felt like science just showed me the way of like how miraculous life is. And I found even in medicine, the sides of medicine that we don't talk about, the heart patients that had heartbreak and all the things emotionally that would manifest itself as dis-ease. That led me into a career where I was in research, and then I ran a small company within an 8,000 person company, and I got to do so many things. But my life came to a head when I discovered that a lot of the trauma that I had suffered as a child and growing up was still in my tissues. And I left this big, massive, multi-six-figure income into nothing to go through e-commerce and social media apps that I launched and a IV therapeutic spa that I did. But it was always coaching and culture that is all my roots and where everything was grounded. But my own recovery of my body, my mindset, was taking the mindset that's actually below the neck and on the spiritual side that actually ended up producing massive healing and unbelievable realizations on ayahuasca kinds of experiences.
Wow. That's incredible. A lot to uncover there. And Neal, what do you mean when you say that our mindset is below our neck in our body?
Yes. So there's many books on this. There's a great one that says the body keeps score. It's not just a trauma book, but what it tells us is that Celeste, we all know this, right? We walk into a room and we feel something. Where do we feel it? We don't feel with our heads. If we didn't have our body, we wouldn't be feeling. Everything in feeling is down here. Our entire human experience is down here. We've all had that gut reaction, like something is right or something is wrong, right? Or I'm in danger or this is a safe place. That is through the body. And athletes know this. They train the body to be the mind, to do it so flawlessly that they actually don't have to think. And so there's a lot of literature out there to support this, but suffices to say is that if you're not dealing with the mindset in your body, you're missing 50% of your mindset.
I love that. Let's keep going in that route because, okay, when you make the example of an athlete, well, an athlete needs his body to perform, right? That's literally his job. But how does that affect an entrepreneur or anyone who's not an athlete? And why should someone take this really seriously if they haven't perhaps addressed their anxiety, their past trauma, or anything that they're going through that's holding them back?
Right. Yes, and it's such an important thing. When I work with clients, I call it a top down and bottom up approach, right? We're coming from the head and we're coming from the body. We all know that the heart itself, it has intelligence in it. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're coming up against limiting beliefs, limiting ability to move forward, you feel stuck in yourself. That is the brains that are in the body. That's the gut that's in the body, right? And so if you can't send that email, if you don't feel worthy of being on stage, if you have imposter syndrome, it's just not a mindset issue. If we think about how we all connect to a buying situation, you're 4 times more likely to buy from someone through emotional connection. But you're also 4 times more likely to be stopped by your own unresolved emotions around things. People think it's just willpower and it's just a male hustle culture of get it done and do it now. But it's not that. It's the divine feminine, it's the divine masculine. And the divine feminine is in our bodies where the feelings reside.
Oof, that was really, really powerful. How our limiting beliefs or trauma can also stop us from doing these big things in our life. And what are your thoughts? I know you also just mentioned our divine feminine and our divine masculine. And what are your views on that for someone? How can we embody our energies in the best manner?
So, especially for guys, we tend to shun this thing. I'm a alpha male, but I'm very in touch with my female energy, right? And it's important because we in entrepreneurship, we think, oh, if I'm going to get to between 2 straight lines for success, it's going to be from A to B. But that's not how we really move. We're more like Celeste, we're more like jellyfish, right? We expand and we contract, and it's a little movement up. And if you're not watching right now, just go watch a video on a jellyfish. And for those of you listening, and see how it moves. This is the true nature of who we are. We are expansion and we are contraction. But I'll just tell you, if you're not hustling as hard in your rest as you are in your work, you're missing out. Because in our 20s and 30s, we think, oh, well, I can do anything. But we're a bank account and we keep withdrawing. And that's why people burn out in their 40s and 50s, why they go to dis-ease, why entrepreneurs crash all the time, because they are not taking their contraction or their rest as seriously as their hustle.
I love that. I love that. That's such a powerful lesson there, especially in our hustle culture, right? That it's so glamorized nowadays of just work 24/7 all the time. And if you have free time and you're just chilling, like there's something wrong. You should be working right now at all times. So really changing that mindset, is key. And of course you want to work hard. There is a place for that, because I think any extreme perhaps isn't the right way, but it's about balancing. It's about taking care of yourself and working hard for your goals, right? Taking responsibility in each area of your life. And Neal, I know when we've spoken before, a big example you also shared with me is how some of your clients, perhaps, they have the wealth, right? They achieved all these grandiose goals. And personally, that, well, not just me, I know many people, initially when we're starting in our careers, the financial aspects is a huge driver, right? We're hustling so hard because we just want to make it. We want to make the 6 figures, then we want to make the 7 figures and so on. But it's a rat race that it really never ends because money is infinite, right? So and thinking about personally my own story, when I grew up, my parents, they were okay. I remember I never really struggled with money. And then around 7, 8, 9, I saw my parents struggle, and my parents split up during that time. And for the first time while I was living with my father, he couldn't really afford to buy all my school supplies, and my aunt had to buy them for me. And that was the first time I ever experienced something like that. And it hit me like, this is a serious issue, right? And definitely that gave me a huge drive then as I grew into a teenager and now an adult, that I never want to be in that situation, whether it is for myself or my children. And I know, I'm sure many people can relate to that. But yet, you gave me the example of really financially successful people that are still not fulfilled. So what is the answer here, right? Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
It is an amazing question. And this is why I love money so much, because it teaches us so much about the energetic relationship that we have with anything. The relationship you have with anything is a model for how you have a relationship with anything in your life. In fact, how you do anything is how you do everything. But it's interesting to note that when they interviewed 12,000 millionaire CEOs, that 95% of them still felt unsure of their financial future or still felt unwealthy. And it has nothing to do with the evils of money. It has everything to do with the fact that, Celeste, we start out as make-believe. As children, we're make-believe, and we're supposed to make the leap to belief makers. But the primary operating system of most adults is fear and scarcity. And no amount of money can help you do the work. In fact, I sat kneecap to kneecap with Tom Bilyeu, who's, $1 billion earner. He sold his own company, has an amazing podcast. And he just told me, I have it on iPhone video. I asked him about this quote, and he said, how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself is the most important thing. And Celeste, this whole game is a fight of neuroscience and spirituality. And if you don't do the work, there's no amount of work that you can just pretend to do and wake up fulfilled one day, because everything is a muscle. And if you don't practice your emotions, your experience, your relationships, your time with other people, you'll wake up one day and you'll be bankrupt in those areas, and you can't just magically turn it on. And that's what people do. They unfeel some bad things that happen to us, but they just end up unfeeling everything.
Yes, I love that. How you said you could be bankrupt in other areas of your life, even when it's not money.
Mm-hmm.
So what is fulfillment to you, and how can we accomplish it, or how can we live it?
Fulfillment is the sustainable desire to accomplish your goals. And unlike hustle and get it done and positivity, because honestly, Celeste, this is toxic for most people. We like the videos, we forward the reels, but most of us in between, when we get pulled out like a rubber band, we kind of snap back to our center. We have to understand that if we're 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, 80% of those are negative, right? We're operating in the need to be safe. So fulfillment comes out as a more basal desire. And one of my wealth tenets is called evaluation, of the energy evaluation. It's putting the emotion behind your other assets in life, not just valuation like we do in assets and in commercial real estate, but the energy evaluation. What are the other things that you have going for you? Your track record, your reputation, your relationships, your network capital, your fulfillment with your kids, all those things. We need to put the energy or the emotion behind that, because this is the thing that should drive me nuts. When I was in boardrooms all across America, everybody would say, let's make this decision logically. But then the rest of the meeting would be like, how's the customer going to feel? How are we going to disrupt them? How are we going to get them in trouble or growth mode? It was feeling. We buy everything and do everything for the feeling.
Yes, that's so true. And ultimately, right, that's the goal. When you're creating any type of service or product, it's about what is the impact on the customer, and are they happy with the service? And that is more emotional than logical. So I love that. And I love how you explain fulfillment, that it's more a holistic view on so many areas of your life and how you feel about everything. Because sometimes we focus so much on one area and being so successful here that we let go of the other parts of our lives, right? So I love that. I see how you help people more, right, on the sustainable, and the word you use, sustainable. So it's not just about, let me work so hard right now so I can accomplish this in 3 months. It's more about how can we live a life, right, that we can sustain and that can bring us fulfillment, wealth, health, love, and great relationships.
Yeah, I mean, look, Celeste, the regrets of the dying are what? They are, I sacrificed my health, I sacrificed my mental well-being, I sacrificed my time, and I sacrificed my relationship. But these are the things that people generally give up heavily when they go after substantial monetary goals. And I just want to be perfectly clear. I love money. It's a great tool. I'm very money oriented, but I'm more money oriented in the right ways for the right reasons. I refuse to give up all those things. I found myself chronically ill and high anxiety, and nobody even knew it, right? By rushing after these things and just pushing myself so hard. And my body finally woke me up one day and I'm like, I got to heal this. I got to heal my life. And when I healed my life, everything aligned. It was unbelievable, the change.
Absolutely. I can totally relate as well, because personally, when I graduated college, my first job was in auditing. I was auditing hedge funds and private equity firms with a huge company. And it was so prestigious. I was so proud, and it was a great first job. I certainly learned a lot, but the hours were truly insane. And after 2 years, during my second year of doing this job, I was working till probably like 11, 12 at night, also working on Saturdays. And during this time, my mom, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she began chemotherapy. And I was so busy that I couldn't even be there for her. And it was such a eye-opening experience, because I was 22, 23 years old. And that after that season of my life where I couldn't, when my mom would come, I remember my mom one day came to ask me for something, and I was so stressed because the pressure was so on me to execute and perform that I genuinely couldn't just go chill for an hour. I really needed to work. And I remember I snapped at her because she was distracting me. And then I remember thinking, like, what am I doing? That's my mom. God forbid something happens to her. I'm prioritizing this over one of the most important relationships in my life. And after that season ended, I changed jobs, because I said, it doesn't matter how much money I get paid. I never want to be in that situation again. And I want to be there for my loved ones. Because life is not guaranteed. And it really helped me reframe what I value, and moving forward and the goals that I pursue. That was really important, that I could be there in different ways and show up for people that I loved. So I can totally relate to what you're saying there.
That's a beautiful story. And it just reminds me so much of the idea of us being a bank account, and life tends towards healing. It will always tend towards healing. But if you don't deposit in it, you become up non-sufficient funds, and it starts taking your mental well-being, your physical well-being, all of those things. And entrepreneurs, for anybody listening here, it's like, what's the point of resting? You can't be in your executive brain. You can't come up with positive, new ideas. You can't be innovative when you're constantly in fight or flight. And living in a perpetual state of fight or flight will always catch up with you sooner than later. I mean, that's really what happened to Steve Jobs. If you want to know the truth, he was a great innovator, amazing man. But he himself, even towards his later years when he was sick, he's like, I lived too hard. I was too stressed out all the time. And it caught up with them. But the thing is that you can actually make more money and have a more sustainable life without constantly being in fight or flight all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so powerful. And so what's your approach or tips for those who are listening today, who perhaps are in that hustle mode? Let's hustle 24/7. Let me wake up early, go to sleep super late. What would be your advice to those people to live this more balanced, sustainable life?
So what I would say is that one of the things that I really work with clients on is I work with their time management, but I'm not trying to increase their productivity. Because let's just be honest, Leslie, if we could download the PDF and the funnel system and the hacks to just do more, we would all have accomplished it all by now. But it doesn't work that way. But understanding that to a large degree, by the time we're 35 years old, 95% of how we're going to react in any situation is pre-programmed. We're working from our subconscious mind. So awareness is key, and understanding that to be able to let go of certain things in your business and your life is going to do you good. But I give some of my entrepreneurs, I just give them a simple thing. I'm like, okay, maybe you don't feel like you can meditate. Maybe you don't feel like you can do somatic practicings and bring yourself present. But all you need to do is throw a fishing line in the water and just feel when the fish bites, when you feel the imposter syndrome or the stress or the anxiety or the fear of doing something. Just feel the tug on the line, and simply just bringing more awareness will change your life. It's no different than what our brain does when we go out and we shop for a pink pair of pumps or a blue BMW. Your brain starts seeing them everywhere. That's because we're focusing on certain things. There's a reticular activating system in our brain that says, hey, brain, whatever you're thinking, I'm going to make you more aware of. And if you just start bringing awareness to when you get triggered, things will start to simplify.
I love that. I love that. So it's really about being able to come back to the present moment rather than always living in this future anxious state, or either the future or the past of trying to control things. And learning to be in control of your body, of your reactions, of the things that you do. Would that be correct?
It is absolutely correct. And it sort of trains us. I mean, I say that there are three presents. There's the past present, the present present, and the future present, right? Because the brain doesn't know where it's at. Whatever you focus on, there you are. But what do we do when we want a goal? We access our past and then we look to the present. Well, as we do that in a circle, that becomes our identity. We keep looking to the past, right? And so if we can be in the present, it's much easier to make the leap into the future. And I promise you, kids are amazing. Kids have amazing beginner's luck. They are amazing at doing things. No kid ever needed a self-help book for how to get up 100 times to walk again, right? So, but they're not living in the past all the time to try to predict their future. They are just in the present moment. And all of us have had that feeling when you're doing your best work. Where are you at, Celeste? Are you in your head or your heart? Are you thinking about it or not?
No, I'm present doing it.
You're present doing it. Every one of us knows that. But then when we try to get something, we want to know the how. And the hows are cursed. It's about being right here in this present moment. That's why I love entrepreneurship, because as difficult as it is, it's the ultimate self-development course, because everything that you need to work on is happening right now in this present moment. It's coming up for you. You don't need a bunch of talk therapy. You don't need to go to the future. Just be here. You feel me?
Absolutely. Yes. I feel you. And I want to go back to something you said, because I think it's so powerful. You can't look at your past to create your present or future, correct?
Correct.
Because especially if we're trying to do something new in our lives, perhaps you're the first in your family to do something, or you're trying to accomplish some goal that you've never really seen anyone around you do. If you're looking at your past is going to tell you you can't do it, right? So you need to let go of that in order to focus on the present or the future, right? So any tips regarding how to keep moving forward, believing in what you want to do, even if your past doesn't have any proof that you can do it?
Right. Well, I love this topic, and thank you for the beautiful segue. So yes, absolutely. This is one of the biggest, and I don't even like this word because we use this word hack too much anymore. But I would say if there is a shortcut, which there really isn't any, but it's this. And this is for you listening. If you're hearing this, this is what I want you to do. If you're going from A to B, I want you to cross out A and just be freaking B right now. How would that person think, act, respond, eat, get up, respond to negative situations, feel their emotions? Who would they be? Because we can show by science, even by quantum mechanics and so forth, is that we are the frequency that we feel frequently. And if you can lean into the space, because the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what's going on in your head. And if you can start to visualize, and this is what athletes do. Let's go back to the athlete. You can show that you can visualize doing an arm curl, a bicep curl with weights, and your muscle will get anywhere from 8 to 15% bigger. So if you can visualize this before you're practicing and you're releasing neurochemistry from your head, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, epinephrine, and it is priming your cells to go, I am already this person, and it's raising the belief in your biology to be that person.
Boom. That was amazing. Such great thought. And Neal, I would love to hear an example of something that you have accomplished in your life that perhaps 18-year-old you would have never even imagined.
Wow, what a beautiful question. Man, there are so many things that I can think of, speaking on stage, hanging out with somebody like David Meltzer and Jeff Hoffman, a Priceline, being on stage with Tim Storey and being invited to him to reach out and connect, starting my own IV therapeutic spa. The list goes on and on. Volunteering in the hospital in the middle of Puerto Rico for just no apparent reason, but I just wanted to do that. Traveling to multiple countries, some of it on the company's dime, right? Just on somebody else's budget. And I just can't wait for what's more there. I'm just such a dreamer, and I'm unwilling to bend on my dreams. I love the power of children, and I think imagination and dreaming is the life force that we all need as entrepreneurs. Because look, it's like somebody like Disney, how he knew it all in his head before it was even there.
Yes, that is so, so, so powerful. And I love seeing your journey. We recently met, but I know you're going to accomplish a lot moving forward. I know I am going to accomplish a lot moving forward. And all of you listening are also going to accomplish a lot moving forward. And we want to know about it. So I hope you share it with the world. Such a great conversation so far. And I loved your example, right? You said, if you're thinking about going from A to B, get rid of A and just think about what B feels like, is like now. Mm-hmm. So is that the mindset of success, you would say?
I would say it's the mindset of success. And let me give you one thing that I go into my private wealth clients with, is that you'll never hear anybody else say this, right? But one of the things that we're constantly doing is we're constantly shifting our identity. So there's a property. Our spiritual self is much different than our biological self. Our biological self is programmed for not success, but survival. And our biological self says, whoever you are now, I want to stay that way. But the thing that we need to do as we transition these different stages is we need to enter into some grief, a grief process of letting go of the old identity into the new. And grief isn't just for a funeral. It's like loss of a business case, loss of a client, loss of you were once a child and now you're older, or maybe now you're a parent. We need to go through these processes, because entering that dip, the grief, if those you can't see what I'm doing with my hand right now, it's like we need to go into that dip so that we can feel it, experience it, and let go of it. So many entrepreneurs are stuck where they're at because they're dragging their old dead identity behind them. And they're like, man, this feels so heavy, because they have no process of letting go and going through the grief. And I took somebody who had 5 people die in 6 years. This is an extreme case. She couldn't make any money, do anything. And I freed her up, and she went on in 6 months to make her first 30K. So I know this stuff works. Even people who have multi-million-dollar exits, half the time they're in a state of grief because they've done it for 20, 30 years. And Celeste, what are they going to be and who they are now without that thing anymore?
Oof, that is so, 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 so powerful, Neal. Absolutely. Oh, I hope that really sinks into everybody listening, because as we embrace the new thing, you're right. We go through that grieving period of letting go of who we used to be, or even a relationship ending, or someone new coming into our lives, or moving to a new place, starting a new business, starting a new job, anything. So thank you so much for highlighting that. That was really, really insightful. And we're having such a great conversation here. And I know I can keep talking to you forever, but one of the questions that I ask all of my guests is, what does success mean to you today? Because what success means to us changes depending where you are in life. And this podcast is really about redefining what success is and letting go of the narrative that society has pushed onto us. So Neal, what does success mean to you now?
What success means to me now is having the limitless nature to pursue the next thing, just to keep moving, to keep expanding, to find myself in discovery of what I can do next. Because if I play in that wonderment and awe, if I just every day go, you know what, I'm really comfortable with being uncomfortable in a way that I'm embracing it, I know magical and amazing things will happen. Every time my business wasn't working, my life wasn't working. And my life wasn't working, there was some place where I was holding on to safety and security too much. I was unwilling to just move forward in a way where it was like, you know what? It's okay to put myself out there, because I know the greatest possibilities in life come when we're in a stretch, not when we're comfortable. And it's on that stretch of uncomfortability where everything is discovered, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, but you have to be willing to feel safe while being in a risk. And that's the second thing that I really teach people that nobody really talks about, is our number one need besides love is safety. And most people aren't going for things in their business not because they're lazy or undisciplined. It's because they don't feel safe to do it.
So powerful, so good. I love that perspective. And I can already see how also that's a sustainable life, right? A sustainable mindset to continue to embrace and feel successful, because you're doing that. You're in the field, in the trenches doing it. So amazing. Thank you, Neal, for this incredible conversation. And how can people connect with you and stay updated with everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so it's simple. It's just Neal Phalora is my Instagram handle. Find me on LinkedIn there as well, or my website is just my first and last name.com, and reach out to me there.
Awesome. I encourage you all to connect with him, to follow his journey. He's so insightful. He's also, I met Neal in person, and he's so kind. He makes you feel like you can tell him anything. He is just an incredible human being that really makes a difference anywhere he goes. So I appreciate you, Neal. Thank you for being on today.
Thank you, Celeste. It's been wonderful, and I can't wait to know you more.
Awesome. Until next time. You have just finished listening to this episode, and I hope you're feeling inspired, enlightened, and ready to take the next step to accomplish your goals. Make sure to check out the show notes for any information shared. And if this message impacted you, please share this wisdom with at least one person you care about, and let's grow this movement across the globe. Always remember that the light to success is you, my friend. Until next time.